Greetings and welcome. Today we're going to take a look at our Latin translation and our Greek translations, the second to last paragraph of John chapter 2, to see how well the Latin has done. Previously, I believe on our first three verses, there wasn't any major problems at all. Maybe the inclusion of one word, yes, quasi. Quasi appeared in the Latin and it didn't appear in our Greek. However, there was a variant in the Greek where there was a hos, so that was fine. And then in our second page, which is 16 through 19, there was a tense problem where komedit was present tense in the Latin, but it was future tense in the Greek. So that's a slight problem, but not too bad of a problem. And then I think there was truly, yes, vero in verse 17 that didn't belong, and that there's nothing corresponding in the Greek in any of the variants that I could find. Now let's take a look at our last paragraph and see if our otherwise very good translation so far continues. Therefore the Jews said, aorist tense, plural. Therefore Jews, perfect tense, said. So far so good. In years 40 and 6, dative of time, aorist passive, built, constructed, or strengthened, temple as their subject. Ablative of time here, 40 and 6 years, perfect passive, good, temple, good. This and this. So far, perfect. And future you will raise in 3 days, with you making it emphatic. And you emphatic in 3 days, ablative of time with a dative in time, will raise future tense. Fantastic. Illud, auton. All right, that's fine. But that one, imperfect tense, about temple. That one, akenos, but imperfect tense, about temple. Latin, it's a little bit clearer here because de takes the ablative, while peri takes the genitive, and there are a whole bunch of genitives here, but so far that looks pretty good. His body, and then we've got his own body, so a little bit more clear even in the Latin here with suis, but Greek can't do that, so oh well. It'd be nice if Greek had something like that, and yet it would also be really, really horrible because then there's another thing to memorize. Okay, so up through the end of verse 21, it looks fine. I would honestly have preferred if there was a different word from illud right here to correspond to the auton here, since kanos and ille, they work fine, because these are the further demonstratives, whereas auton doesn't really quite perfectly correspond to hic, hac, hoc, but maybe that would have been better. Oh well, style choice, that's fine. When therefore he was raised from dead, and this is aorist passive, we've got a therefore temporal particle. When circumstantial cum clause, therefore, had risen from dead. All right, so here we do have a slight issue. We've got, of course, a cum clause to give the idea, and at least in Latin, it's showing the circumstances around when the disciples are remembering, whereas this one is clearly giving the time, so a temporal cum clause would probably have been better. The tense of this one isn't actually an issue, because it's occurring prior to the disciples remembering. Perfect tense is the main verb, and pluperfect just tells us happened prior to the main verb. Whereas in this one, aorist versus aorist, so they're both in the past. That I don't think causes an issue. Our actual problem is that this is passive while this one is active. And that, while not overly changing the sense, is an issue which a U and an R would have fixed. And maybe, admittedly, there could be a version of the Vulgate out there where it does have that. But I don't have access right now to a critical edition of the Vulgate, so we're left with what we're given. So, problem right there, wrong voice. Tense, it's okay. Circumstantial would have been better as a temporal, but we'll move on. Where do we move on to, though? Okay. The disciples, his, remembered. Disciples remembered his. Good. That, imperfect tense, this. That, imperfect tense, this. So far, so good. Keep losing my place. Aorist tense, they believed to the scripture, singular, and the word, singular. They believed to scripture, singular, and sermon, singular. So that's good. Sermon and word here could have the same meaning, so I don't see a problem there. Is this in the screen? Yes, that is in the screen. Relative pronoun, which Jesus said, aorist tense, which Jesus said, perfect tense. Accusative singular masculine, accusative singular masculine. All right, so that's good. So then all told, issues that we have, circumstantial instead of temporal, it's a problem. Active instead of passive, it's also a problem. These match up wonderfully, so that's great. Style choice right there, not an issue. That's just me being picky, and whenever I'm picky, things go horribly wrong. Then in the previous one, verse 17, we've got vero, word for truly, which has no corresponding word in Greek, so it does not belong, but it doesn't change the sense, so that's not huge. And then we have komedit, which should be komedet for future, to match the future of the Greek. If there are any other issues that we spotted beforehand, I don't remember them now. So tense issue, temporal issue, and vero. And then voice. 4 problems. Only the voice really seriously changes anything. So I think the Latin is actually done quite well. I'm going to award it my completely made up grade of A-. And there we have it. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that this has been helpful for you, and I hope that you continue to join me as we finish off this chapter with the final 2 or 3 verses. Have a good day.
Hey, not asleep yet? That's okay. I've got tons of other equally sleep-inducing videos for you to watch. Check them out.